Hello and welcome back to this course of videos on Node.js. In this video we'll be looking at the specific parts of JavaScript functionality that Node uses to great benefit. Now we spoke in previous videos about the non-blocking aspect of Node.js that makes it very performant and scalable. Now this is in part thanks to the flexibility that JavaScript has when working with functions. So to illustrate this better, I'm going to be working in an IDE called Visual Studio Code. Now previously we worked on the command line to get immediate feedback on our Node code. Here I'm going to be using the Visual Studio Code debug console. You can use any IDE you wish, Atom, Sublime Text, it doesn't matter. I like working with Visual Studio Code because it works well with Node, and you have this debug console where you can get immediate feedback to your code. So what we're talking about again is the flexibility that JavaScript has when working with functions. So this is a standard function declaration. Declare your function, here's your function body, here is where the function is ran. So if I run this here, we will see console.log I am a function declaration. Now it's just a quick point here. Function console.log command in Node is exactly the same as on client-side JavaScript. Now, a second way that we can declare and run a function is using something called a function expression. Now, you can see here that here is a function that we've built, and we're actually passing it to a variable called function expression, and then we're running the function by actually calling the variable that the function was passed to. Now this is something called a first class function, and it's something that's enabled by JavaScript, and so JavaScript is actually allowing functions to be passed around like regular objects. And again, like I said, this is known as first class functions. If I run this now, we will see I am a function expression. So again, you can see here what we're referring to about JavaScript being quite flexible in the way that it works with functions, in that we can pass them around like regular objects. Now this next example here is even more interesting. So JavaScript also allows things called higher order functions. Now higher order functions are functions that accept other functions being passed into them as parameters. Higher order functions. So if we look in this example here we have a function which is going to be passed as a parameter to another function. So I'm calling it function inner. And all it's doing is logging, saying I was passed into the outer function and then run. Now this is the outer function. This is the function that is going to accept the inner function as a parameter. So you can see here is the actual body of the function here. Here is the function parameter that is going to the parameter that's going to be passed in. So this is actually going to be the inner function is going to be passed into this parameter here. And the function is then going ahead to run, actually execute the function that is being passed into it here. I'm going to put my semicolon on here. JavaScript is very forgiving, but I do like to be quite pedantic about my semicolons. So at the last line of code here, function outer is being run, and it's accepting function inner to be passed into it. And as we can see here, it's actually being run from function inner is being run from inside function outer. So if I run this code here, we will see it in action. And it should console.log I was passed into function outer and then run. So again, like I said, these are known as higher order functions. So we're seeing now even greater levels of flexibility that JavaScript has when working with functions. Now the final thing I'm going to illustrate of JavaScript working with functions and also objects. So this is a JavaScript object here. So I'm defining my object, and here is the body of the object. Now objects contain, this is a regular JavaScript object, nothing fancy about it. So objects contain key value pairs. So here's a key, here's a value. So the value can be a string, as in cat, can be a number, as in 1, can be a boolean, as in false. Now, very interestingly, a value can also be a function. So here we have a key value pair. The key is called my function, and the value is actually a function itself. So we're actually embedding a function within an object. And what we're doing at this next line of code is, again, we're using a function expression. However, we're populating the function into the function expression. We're actually taking this value from the key value pair from within the object, and using the dot notation from the object, we are populating this function expression with the function. And then we are running the function using the myFunctionExpression variable that it was passed into. So finally, if I run this code here, we will see I was called from inside an object by a function expression. This is the final piece of JavaScript that I wanted to show you how it works with functions and the flexibility we have to pass functions around like regular objects. And just to recap, we had first class functions, which are functions that can be passed around like regular objects. We had higher order functions, which are functions that accept other functions to be passed into them as parameters. Then the final example we had was a function embedded within an object. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial.